Okay, I think I'm live. And usually when this happens, whenever you see somebody go on YouTube going live and they're wondering if they're live, it's because there's a delay. You have to have people in the chat tell you. Or I have to look at my other screen here and hopefully I pop it up. And there I am. Hold on a second. Yeah, there I am. Hi, everybody. Hi. What's happening? How's it going? If you are the 1 to 2, 3 people watching this, please tell me that you can hear me and see me in full. That will make my life a little bit easier. Hi, I'm live. Thanks, Amy. Hi, Tina. I'm saying, oh, Nathalie de Oliveira Hoffman. I'm excited too. Sam, what's up? I finally got notified when you went live. Good. The technology's working. Let me. I got to do some stuff here to make my life easier. And which is going to be this. You can't see what I'm doing, but I need to see this for myself. And just so you know, this is how it works because I'm seeing a couple of things in the chat here. Hi everyone. Gemini Jess. Good. Dan Palm. Hello. Hi, y'all. Thanks. Thanks for stopping in. I have to do this in a certain kind of consensus-based weird way with the call-in. So I know people are going to put info in the chat and I can't do it that way. What happens is at some point here soon, when I have some more people come into the room, I'm going to flash a number on the screen and whoever just calls and whoever I answer first, and sometimes I get multiple people calling at the same time, I have to take the first one that I see, and then we have to try again next time I pull the number up on the screen, and I'm only going to do it when I'm saying I'm ready to take the phone call too, so that's how it works. Hey everyone. Kiara, what's up? How's everybody doing? We're in between eclipses. We're at Mercury retrograde. Right now, as we speak, there is, let me get this right now as we speak, there is the moon in Cancer right now, and it's applying towards its conjunction with Mars in Cancer right now as we're doing this. I should pull up the chart when I started this. Several reasons why I picked this time and date, but yeah, there's a couple things here. Let me see if this could, yeah, this is me. Hey, I'm seeing some old familiars. Hey, Shayla, how are you? Good to see you all. Thank you for stopping in and support and stuff. It's always weird. Hey, Christine, you made it. You did. You made it. It's always weird. Like, what time do I do these live streams? Do I do it on a Sunday afternoon? Pacific time? Do I do it at night? It's like I can't. I'm trying to cover all the bases, so it's weird. I go to my analytics, actually my YouTube analytics, and I see when people are around the most to watch me. This is kind of a sweet spot. The big sweet spot is if I did this on a Sunday between 11 to 2 p.m. afternoon, but that's a hard one for me, so maybe that will change. So yeah, hey Sam. You're going to have an eclipse, 2 degrees on your ascendant descendant. Woo. Yeah. Yeah, eclipses are always eventful if they're hitting your chart. I was taught that if an eclipse was hitting a point in your chart, the really way to gauge it is at least to be 2 degrees away from where it is in your chart. A degree or on it is even better. It's when you really could see something. If you have something a little closer to that, it's there, but you see it just is a little bit more broad, but the closer eclipse degrees on something in your chart, you'll see it. It's right there. And that was taught by a couple different people back then. And if I remember these mentors and teachers, I will mention them. I know Bernadette Brady in her book, The Eagle and the Lark, talks about this. You could take a look at that if you're into that. Anyway, there's a chart up here. And yeah, this is 202. You could see the moon. Let me do my experiment here because let me see if my technology is working today. I will know when I do this. Yes. And so you could see right here, moon's applying to Mars. And it's also, there's this right here Chiron at 17 degrees that's connected to this aspect. This is a square aspect. So, you know, yesterday, today, some sensitive places for people who have cardinal planets at these degrees. This is a 24 to 48 hours. Actually, this whole week, because Venus has been involved with the Chiron story this week from air sign. A couple other aspects here, and I'll talk about that later. That's what's up. But, you know, I kind of talk like this to see who's coming in to my world in the chat here so I can understand and to do some tests. And I see, okay, I see here. Bear with me. So that's what's up there. I'm going to pull up this chart in a second again. Just about, let me do this. Let me do that. And let me do something to clear my brain. I need to clear my brain. Better now. I'm better now. Teresa, welcome. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the live stream, Teresa. I see you there. A little something for you, a little noise from a funny app. It's sort of Mr. Rogers-ish, if you can remember that. It's something else. It's so yeah, there you go. Thank you. And I see in chat, so that's beautiful, Nicholas, and thank you. I want to say that I'm trying to read the name of that, and I'm going to maybe have to look this up earlier and see what Google Translate does for me. So some of you in chat could see this. I like to push my knowledge, and so let me see if I can do this. I should put this on screen, but I want to be private. Let me see here. And be patient with me because I will get to doing the charts live. Do I say Pablo? Pablo? Is that what's up? Is that right? Is that right? Did I see Pablo for that? Okay. So, all right, here's the deal. If you feel happy at some point, you press the like button on the stream. It helps me. I'm seeing something that I thought I had set up on my stream here on the YouTube page, and it's not there. And I'm a little disappointed in myself because I realize now what I did wrong. And I have the ability now to add super chat to, right on, Pablo. I have the ability to run super chat on my live streams now, which means someone could donate to me while the live streams are going on. But the problem is I didn't press the right button and it's not under my live stream, which that is my Mercury retrograde moment here. So I will figure that out next time. Second, this is how it's going to go. I'm going to put up the number here in a little bit soon, and you can call. I'll do a chart. I have other charts I want to talk about. I want to talk about the eclipse chart that's next week on May 5th. I'm going to talk about that. There's some other interesting, well-known people, one in particular, two that I have here that I'm going to pull up during the stream to talk about in between doing live chart readings with you on the phone. I have 1 to 2 astrology books that I want to talk about, and I'll throw that in between. I also have another something here that's connected to the esoteric world, or actually the astrology world, that I want to showcase and let you all know about, and that's going to come up in the stream too. So basically, you're getting a variety show of sorts of my mind, okay? which is a definite variety show. And you should definitely, I should do one of these streams when like Pluto is doing something to me, or like it's a Pluto moon conjunction. Maybe I will next time, because talk about a variety show that comes out of me. I have a major Pluto influence in my chart. So I live for those moments. And one of these days you need to see that part of me. I need to put that costume on. So that's what's up. Okay. So let me deal with something here really quick. I need to see something. It's a little frustrating with this sometimes, because I need to see a couple stats that are happening that help guide me. And I also need to see the chat. Oh, the one other thing is, if you feel called to, please share this. Please share the live stream right now. And it will help me tremendously. And that's what I have to actually do to my own Facebook page right now, is to share this to my page, and then I'll get to this a phone call off the bat here. And let me authenticate something here. And thank you. And I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see if this is working. Give me 1 second. I am going to do this to my Facebook page. I usually stream there, but I'm not doing that today because of the extracurricular stuff that happens with my brain. So let me get this in order, and I think we're going to be good. All right, cool. Oh, why do I have this on my screen right now? I didn't mean to pick this. All right, there's what's up there. All right, y'all ready? Let me see here. I'm waiting for a couple more people to pop in here. Hey, thanks for stopping by, though. I see you in the chat. I know you got to go, but I appreciate you stopping by. Teresa, thank you, too. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you so much, both of you. You know this is archived. You can come watch it. It'll be up today, tomorrow. The live chat will be out by tomorrow night or tomorrow and all that. But the fact that you came in just to say what's up while I start means a lot to me. Thank you. That's some serious support and loyalty. Appreciate you. So let's do this. All right. And I hope today on this retrograde that we have some technological workings that happen in my favor. All right, so there you go. Bust a move on me. Do this to me. Call me. And I'm really going to try to stick to the time of how I do this is a thing to go slow and not to go past the 8 minutes. So if you're down, call the number up on the screen. And hey, to Melbourne, what's up? Melbourne, Australia, I got to get down there. Jeez, one of these days I got to get down there. Good morning to you. By the way, part of the reason why I do this at 2 p.m. Pacific is to catch the people down there because it's like 16 hours ahead from here. So that's another reason why I do the afternoon during the week. And I'm also going to change my scheduling on my website for readings because I'm usually closed on Saturday and Sundays, but I'm going to open some of it up because I know some of you are in different time zones in other parts of the world. And so I can accommodate that. So even, let's just say you wanted to get a reading from me one day and you went to my schedule and you saw blocked or whatever, you always can send me a message and go, hey, I'm in this time. Can you do this? And I'm like, totally. And I'll try to work it. So anyway, there's a number on the screen. Try to get at me. In the meantime, I'm going to talk about something else I see in this chart that I have here. I'm going to go right to present moment. And where I am, you could see I started here with this live stream with Leo on the ascendant. I wanted that too, and I have my own personal chart reasons for this. You can also see that that at the top of this, and I just got to see if phone calls are coming through. And you can also see at the top of this chart. Let's do a circle this time. You could see here that that all the Taurus stuff's at the top of the chart, the midheaven here. Not, it's applying or whatever, doesn't matter to me. I wanted this there. I wanted the retrograde Mercury there. And there is another reason too, because of this. and I'll do green this time, is Mercury at 14 degrees. And so this is an important degree in general for all fixed signs, but this degree has been repeated this year and even last year too. And the reason is because Uranus and Taurus has had action at this degree. If we go back to November 8th, 2022, when we had an eclipse at 16 degrees Taurus, this is affected by this degree. If I go back to even April 30th, 2022, we had that. Kiara, thank you. And the super chat works. And Kiara, you're my first super chat. And I just want to tell you, Kiara, and everybody out here, one of the reasons why I wanted to hit YouTube Partner is for a reason like this. And it's something else I'm building in the background. And this is one of the reasons. So, Kiara, you rock. I appreciate you. And I'm so glad I saw that not till later. Yeah, super chat helps me out and helps actually pay for the expenses of things, of how I do things. But it works. I don't see it on my page, but the button must be there. You rock. Okay, so to go back to this, 14 degrees is huge. And when we had Uranus earlier this year station, let's see if I can bust a move on this chart. And let me see. Here's a chart here. This is January 22nd, 2023. Thank you, Sam. I see you in the comment. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it totally helps. And at the same time, doing these streams, if I can help anybody in the 8 minutes, that I have with somebody's chart, and it's on the house, as I say, if I can do that and help people, that's part of the reason why I do this. So it's nice to get some help in a super chat like that. So, yeah. Spread the love all the way around. So anyway, the chart on the screen here is the 22nd here of this year, January. And basically, I'm highlighting this because there it is. There's Uranus at 14 degrees, and it's stationing there retrograde. And so now you could see here, today, Mercury's there at 14 degrees, and it's retrograde. And then we have this, and I didn't think we'd get to this earlier because I don't have any phone calls, and usually I have a ton of people calling, but I know some of you on the other side of the world too, and I'm trying to figure that out, how to call in without calling in my main number. So it's been a little bit of a challenge for me. So you could probably see what I'm looking at and who's going to be the guest stars on some of this thing. I don't know if I'm going to get to everybody, but so here is a chart of this chart's in Placidus, by the way, because I go back and forth, but I'm going to bust a move and do it this way. So here is May 5th of next week. And as you could see, here's the a lunar eclipse that's happening. And it's happening here at 14 degrees, even though the node's at 4 here, right? But the eclipse is at 14 degrees. And you could see now the connection to the retrograde that's happening now, to the Uranus retrograde that was earlier this year, but really all of last year when Uranus was hitting 14 degrees. It touches upon the eclipses that happened, and it touches this degree last fall and even last spring a year ago. And if you are anybody who has this in your chart as in 13, 14, 15, 16 degrees, all that, it's a thing where this is definitely connected. And I will say this 27-degree eclipse that we had in Aries last week, and I know it's a big one for a lot of people because it's setting off the Aries Libra nodal story here that's going to really kick in the fall. But this one, if you are the Scorpio risings that I always talk to, the Taurus risings, the Aquarius risings, Leo risings at these degrees, this is a huge monster eclipse. And the reason is because of the buildup and the story that's been happening in the Taurus and Scorpio parts of your chart. and we've had multiple eclipses here, multiple transits come over this degree. This one, to me, is one of the mega eclipses of the year. It's probably, to me, I have a more personal connection to this because of clients I've dealt with and all that kind of stuff, and all that. So it's a type of thing where, you know, I see major movement and evolution happening here if this is personally affecting you. Do I get on the tip of saying it's going to like rock your world? And then if I say that, the typical thing I hear from people is to be like, is it bad? Is it bad? I can't deal with anything else. I'm not going to say it's bad or good. I can't make a call on that because I need to see one's own personal chart. But I'll tell you, you can't get away from this particular eclipse. And I think if you haven't picked up the storylines in your life in the Taurus, Scorpio parts of your chart, especially at these degrees, if you haven't picked it up in the last year and a half, you're really going to get whopped on the head now with this one. If you know the theme and the story that's been going on here because of the transits going on in your chart, you'll have a little bit more of a sense of what was going to play out. I'm going to say the type of one thing that's for sure is that the communication element here is huge because of where Mercury is in the sky right now. You know, and like again, today in the sky, Mercury's at 14 degrees. It's going to hit this place again during the cycle when it leaves the retrograde here in about 2.5 weeks or whatever. So we have that building next week. And so I just want to give a heads up to all of y'all who are affected by this. And if you don't know that you are, you can always get a hold of me and get your chart done and pull up your chart and see if they have these degrees. But this one is probably one of the events of the year for me. My opinion as an astrologer, this is the one. This is one. There's one in the fall that's really big too, but I think this one here brings so much. So much is involved here. And you can also see, and I'm going to make a note of this, you can also see Jupiter 27 degrees here. It's it's the next week that Jupiter is going to hit 29 degrees where the Aries eclipse was. But you could see Jupiter is about to leave here and come into Taurus. So you're going to have a major eclipse. And during the Taurus birthdays, you're going to have Mercury retrograde that gets done. And then you're going to have Jupiter and Taurus come in and start a year cycle in the sign of Taurus. Huge for all Tauruses involved. Huge for the Scorpios. Major amounts of movement concentrated within 3 weeks. If you are affected by this personally, you're going to see it immediately. And I'll get to the chat here in a second. Scorpios and Tauruses, you in particular, again, I'm going to point you out. Y'all are stubborn. Y'all are stubborn with what you get locked on and fixated on. I can say this because I have some of this in my chart. If you haven't seen the growth or been blind, not see it, I would say, you're going to see it. And it's going to be right in your face. And it might be hard. If you are somewhat aware, I'm reiterating this, by the way, if you can't tell. I'm reiterating. If you can't tell yet, you're going to see it. If you know what's going on, I want you to be very clear about your intentions and when it comes to your value systems. A good thing to do in the journal about is to write your basic value systems out. This is number 1, this is 2, this is 3, like pick 10, do 10, then narrow it down to 5 after a week and figure out what's really important to you and then speak about it in a possible, if you can, non-dramatic way. If somebody else reacts dramatically, well, that's them. But remember, use Mercury and Taurus retrograde to your advantage of being practical and using your words and your speech, okay? There's reasons why this is happening, but fundamental eclipse here. It's going to definitely, some of you know my chart or not, this is directly on my chart. It's huge. Okay, let me look at the chat. And if I don't get a chart here, I will figure something else out. Amy, you call me in 10 minutes. Yeah, if you want, go for it. Got some risings I want to call live, but I don't want to hear my toddler twins. You could do it, and I could also, by the way, I can mute people. If I hear noise, I kind of mute them, and even though you're still on the line. Lisa says, this is exact on my friend's descendant. I'll be surprised if nothing happens. Something's happening. It's already happening. MC, Scorpio rising at 22. does my 29 Libra moon affect this? Yeah, you're kind of affected in two ways with two different eclipses in the month. So you're affected because the 27-degree eclipse that happened last week in Aries affects you. All right. So that's what's up there. I will come back to this. I will also, let me say something else here. Oh, good. Yeah. I don't know. Somebody's talking about Marcus Aurelius and wrote down values yesterday. And if you, there's one of the journals that Marcus Aurelius has, you get out there for cheap or find online. It's called Meditations. It's a really good one. By the way, I have it over here. I've been looking at it too all year. Scorpio rising here. I'm kind of shy to call though. I'm not surprised, and it's okay. It's okay. I get it. That's why when the Scorpios do call me or they book me for a reading, which they have, I'm always like kudos, like a round of applause. And everything is secret, you know. Kiara, you could possibly try that. I don't have WhatsApp on this phone purposely. But now that you're saying that, I'm going to do it for next time. I have it on my other phone, but it's not connected to my second line here. And I don't want to do my main phone because some of y'all are going to text me at 2 a.m. Startlingly True says, my natal and solar return MC is conjunct this eclipse. Wow. Yeah. Huge. Value systems are involved here. And the Scorpio part of all this. Let me get this correct, and then I'm gonna do a chart on the screen. Okay, listen, y'all Scorpio moons, Scorpio whatever. It's all about obsession in the end. What one gets locked onto, and you have to figure out if you haven't seen it already. What is detrimental when you get locked onto something and obsess about something? If you get obsessed about a project and a new idea and you want to kick ass and take it from point A to point B, it's great. But I'm looking at the types of obsessions and habits that are deeply rooted, that actually, in one way, you feel like you have a huge sense of power when you're there, but in the end, the story ends up in pieces all the time, and it's detrimental, and you're not happy, or you're in this hard place, and other people are possibly affected by it. That is the type of stuff that gets exposed in an eclipse like this. And you have to be real with yourself with this, because I think a lot of times people don't get Scorpios. They're private and they have their way, but when they're in a place where they feel connected, it's not in their brain. It's everything. Like if you can imagine you connected to something all the way with your whole being, and it's passionate and at times obsessive and dialed in, then how do you can't like sometimes stop and let me stop and objectively think about this. It doesn't work that way a lot of the times. So if these types of obsessions and ways of being are the types of things that are detrimental to you, these are the types of moments, eclipses like this will completely expose you, which in the end I know you don't want. But if you expose it to yourself, then you can actually do what you're also good at, which is the rebirthing process, regenerating process. And then that's what coming into really full power is to, and here we got a call. I'll get back to that in a second. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, this is Sparkles of Gold.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? You don't have to give me your name, by the way, your real deal. So just
great, because it took a few minutes to call in. I'm nervous.
It's okay, and I can understand. I can understand that. Me being the talkative person I am, if I was to call in anywhere, I'd be nervous too. So yeah. Now that you called, there's a bunch of people calling. So and by the way, I'm talking to the people on the live stream right now. I see the other phone calls coming in, and we'll get to that in a second, okay? And I'm give me 1 second, caller on the phone, because I need to do something here.
Okay.
Okay. So let's get your birth data. What are we gonna call you? Pick a letter.
I guess just call me Chrissy.
Okay. I have some weird Chrissy spelling here I'm doing. What's your birthday?
4/16/82.
4/16. Oh wait. Bear with me here. And thank you. I can't hear myself in the background at your home, and that's good.
Good.
April 16th, 1982.
Yep.
And what about the time?
9:57 a.m.
That's pretty precise. I'm assuming that's a birth certificate or baby book.
Yeah, my mom kept everything.
That's thanks, Mom. Where? What city?
Peoria, Illinois.
How do we spell that? Peoria.
Peoria.
Yep. I was born in Chicago, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I grew up there. So I've been through Peoria, but I'm a city boy. Peoria's not that far, but okay, Chrissy, April 16th, 1982, Peoria, Illinois.
Yep.
Chrissy, do you know anything about your chart? Like, I'm curious.
I study through Vedic astrology,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't really know much about tropical. Is that what you're doing that, aren't you?
Yeah, I am, and you just kind of actually answered and gave me the info I wanted. I just was gauging, like, oh, okay, see where you're at. Thank you for that. And I'm gonna go to what I use here is the whole sign house system, which I think you'll understand what I'm doing. It might differ from the way you see things a little bit. So
Yeah. Fine.
okay, Chrissy. Well, let's pick one thing. If you do have one thing, what is one thing you would like for me to say or talk about, if there is?
What's next?
Everything. Okay, that's good. All right. Actually, Chrissy, this is interesting because looking at your chart, a couple of things I talked about before you called have come up here. And one of them is the eclipse that happened last week at 29 degrees Aries. And this was really close to your Aries sun, the way I have it, at 26 degrees. So, that's one thing I see off the bat. The other thing is, it's fascinating that you're the one calling, is that your Mercury is in the sign of Taurus, in the way I do astrology. And that's where Mercury's currently right now going through its retrograde story. So,
Oh, God.
yes, right. And there's one more thing I will say, and I'll try to be quick on that. So one thing I will say, if you're talking about what's next, I would actually concentrate here from now all the way to June 5th when it comes to your communication of in general, especially when it comes to, let's say, when it comes to issues of like control. And what I mean by this is, like, sometimes there can be types of communicative dynamics with people or other situations at work where one is heard or not heard, or one can't say what they really want to say, or they're misunderstood. Those types of things, that's the type of feeling I'm getting coming up here, looking at your chart and looking at your Mercury. So because Mercury's in retrograde right now, and the actually going backwards part's going to end here in about 2.5 weeks, but then after that, Mercury still has to go over everything that it went backwards on and review that. And when we get to like the first week of June, around that time, Mercury's going to leave Taurus and go into Gemini. So considering you have Mercury in your chart, the big thing for me is how you communicate. And
Do I need to be nice?
have you been nice?
I am very nice. It's just I can't always say what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's hard, especially with family. It's, I'm the black sheep, so I can't really say what I want to say without major consequences, I guess. I'm different from everyone else.
I see. Huh.
And
Go ahead.
I was going to say that's funny because right now I'm wanting to say what's on my mind, but I can't.
Hmm.
Consequences.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, the funny thing is Saturn in the astrology world usually deals with consequences. And Saturn rules your moon. And part of the reason why I brought up control in the beginning was just something I saw with your moon and the south node that you have in Capricorn. And sometimes, so Saturn rules that signs, and sometimes I see things like with Capricorn moon, if it's aspected, where there's a thing about like when it comes to emotional content and emotional expression, that there's boundaries and barriers that are thrown on that emotional story, or, you know, and considering where Mercury is what happening now, that's a couple of things that I saw. There's some other things. What I will tell you is, as a suggestion, is that if you are going to say something, that it comes from a place of like with patience, and it's well thought out, because I think that's the only thing you can control. Everyone else's reaction is something else, and that's probably something you've been dealing with for a long time in your life. The other reason is, I say this, and for people watching, your Mars in Libra, which is retrograde in your natal chart, has an interesting sextile with Uranus and Sag. I'm sure your mind pops off. I'm sure the way you take action, there's a certain way you like to do it. There's a couple other things I'd say that support the quote unquote black sheep of the family thing you have here. So you know, for me, I think what's most important here in the way I do the charts of you being a Cancer rising, which is ruled by the moon, okay? And currently in the sky right now, we have Mars in Cancer. That's like right on all of this. For me, I'm looking at the way that you can safely and in the most grounded way communicate what you have to say. I'm not going to tell you to do it on this day or whatever. You have to do what feels safe to you, and because you're considering consequence. But inherently, whether it's with them, by yourself, with the world, a neutral source, I think you do need to communicate your truth. So, you know, that's something to think about during the retrograde. And if something is said, just know that there's going to be a bunch of things that are missed or misconstrued possibly, or that will need to be said again, or after the retrograde's done, you'll see the storyline play out and you're like, have to be a little bit more detailed, or they will have to be more detailed in their understanding with you. It's just the type of stuff that happens during retrogrades. They're all review periods and stuff comes up and nothing is done perfectly. And then the situation comes up again. And then after seeing a couple moments of where it didn't work, one can apply what they learned during a retrograde and then try to make it right.
All right.
I heard you take a deep breath there, and I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard because I'm the only spiritual one in the family. The rest are like robots.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing is sometimes there's the realizations that with family that, you know, could, not to be stubborn on this, but it can't change. That people can't change. So it's like, you know what to say and not to say, or you know where to go. You're not going to go there because you just have repetitive proof that, you know what I mean? And go ahead, Chrissy.
Yeah, there's no use sometimes of speaking up because it pushes me down further in the hole. Yeah,
and that is the most important part, I think, is like, that's like instinctual thing to do, is not get yourself put in a hole. So, okay, you can't go there and do that, which is unfortunate, but as long as you're not in a hole, that's why I recommend sometimes too, in situations like this, and other people I talk to with my clients too, is depending on their life situation, is like, do they have a crew, a group of people, or a friend, or someone neutral like a therapist or counselor, something like that, where they can just go through the motions of speaking their truth without feeling attacked, pushed down, you know, so you don't go in a hole. So you know what the experience is of speaking truth and not being in a hole, where you just have that for yourself, you know, knowing that you, let's say, can't do it with certain people, you know.
Yeah, it just eats at you. Thank you so much for your advice with that. Yeah, I've been counselors are great. So
Yeah, Chrissy. Thank you for calling. There's other stuff that I see, but I'll leave you with this. There's a bigger story that's been happening and has to do with the planet Pluto. It's been over your moon. Moon deals with the past and memories and lineage and family and how you get emotionally nurtured, how you nurture. The moon wants to get the essential needs met of the Aries sun. Okay? And your moon has a story with Pluto for the last year and a half. And it's sort of moved away from there, but it's going to do one more touch on your moon here this year. And so there's a major regenerative transformational moment here with your moon. And so in the end, this kind of goes back to how we started here with you expressing your emotions and feelings. And this could be super cathartic if it isn't already, if it hasn't happened already. I just want to leave you with saying that there is a positive power grab awaiting you. If it isn't there already, it's there for you this year.
Thank you.
Okay. So,
yeah.
All right, Chrissy?
Yep. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you rock, and you rock for having the courage to call me too live on air. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Talk to you later.
See you, Chrissy.
Bye.
Chrissy, I hope down the line, man, you get to speak your truth in whatever way. Sometimes we just go to the forest, we go outside by ourselves or something. We go down to wherever by ourselves, and we could speak the truth to the universe, and that's where it all starts. I got a call coming in. I might as well take it because let's do it. Hey, it's Sparkles of Gold. How are you? I can't hear you. You there?
Are you there?
Hey, hi.
Can you hear me? Hi.
I can hear you.
Oh, that's weird.
I know. It's what should we call you today?
You can call me Dreamer.
Oh, there's a song that's popping up in my head now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's just a little dreamer. It's a song. It's a Jefferson Airplane. I can't remember. Okay, so, all right, Dreamer. When's your birthday?
All right, June 16th, 1987.
What time?
3:41, or gosh, 3:51 p.m.
Where's that coming from? Is that coming from a birth certificate?
Yes. Hold on, I'm gonna put you on speaker.
That's cool.
Yeah, there we go. Can you hear me still?
I can.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, my brain is just kind of want to make sure that no, it was 3:41. I was right. I wanted to say 3:41 and I didn't, but it was 3:41 p.m.
3:41
off a birth certificate. Yeah.
What city?
Scranton, Pennsylvania.
I was looking at Scranton today.
No way.
I'll tell everybody why later. Scranton. That's New Jersey.
Nope, that's PA.
That's
but very close. We might as well. I mean, well, no, it's very different.
Actually,
Jersey,
no,
but we're very close.
No, it's very close. And this came up. I think the other chart I saw was Jersey. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
It actually was Biden's chart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, Dreamer, June 16th, 1987, 3:41 p.m., Scranton, Pennsylvania.
That's right.
All right. And let me get my timer going to help me.
Okay.
All right. How can I help you today? What's one thing?
I mean, I've had all kinds of returns going on recently, and that's been kind of what I've been paying the most attention to. I'm kind of at the end of a Jupiter return. Mars return's going on right now.
You got Mars, you got Venus return.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, you're returning.
It's kind of a time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. You know what? Give me 1 second, okay?
Sure.
This is really weird, but I gotta turn the heat off my room because I'm hot right now under the lights. I want to be focused, and I want everybody to take a deep breath, and that is including you, Dreamer. All right, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you for doing that. You know, it's interesting where I am. It's just been cold and rainy, and all of a sudden, it's just jumped up 15, 20 degrees, and it's going to be 80 this week. It's wild.
Yeah, totally bananas.
Yeah. By the way, for everybody watching the stream right now, I see people are calling me, so you have to be patient, and we'll play this one out for the rest of the streams. All right, Dreamer. So you mentioned some returns here, and yeah, here's someone in common with the last caller is, or the way I have your chart up here is your rising sign's at 26 degrees, which was close to the eclipse last week. Just want to say that. The other thing is, obviously, the first thing that comes up to me, oh, I see something else too. I see something, yeah, meaty. And so first thing is, I really want to actually talk about your Jupiter return. And, you know, if you don't know this, Dreamer, and anybody there, is a lot of times we can track Jupiter cycles every 12 years because that's the cycle. It takes 12 years for it to go through all the signs, or through each sign, right? So 12 years ago, Dreamer was having their Jupiter return. And obviously it's happening in the relationship house. And this isn't just intimate relationships. This is all types of relationships. And I would say the need to balance and harmonize them because of you being a Libra rising, and especially because you have a South Node in Libra. Sometimes the Libra story, when it's unbalanced, they don't exactly speak their truth or their needs in fear of rocking the boat of harmony that has been constructed and tended to by Libra energy. So everyone has their say and everyone's weighed out and it's harmonized. The room is harmonized. Communities and groups and relationships are harmonized. And the Libra is a master at this. So, but sometimes what they have to say and what they have to do doesn't come out. And when I see a bunch of Aries stuff in your relationship house, I'm wondering about you first and your needs and how you are standing in relationships. So that's my question for you, Dreamer. What's been going on here since January with that?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, relationships. Well, I am married, and I go to school. I have 2 kids. Since January, just trying to balance all of that together has been kind of the focus.
Okay.
Each one of those relationships is greatly influenced by how many responsibilities and how busy I am and all that kind of stuff.
How about holding containers of space?
Well, that's something I wish I was better at. Kind of feel like I'm just constantly like freaking out, like I'm forgetting something somewhere and I'm supposed to be somewhere else than I am, just, always feeling like I'm behind on something somewhere, not really being able to be present like anywhere. And it's been tough. I can hear it in your voice too. Like I can hear it. So yeah, that's hard. I'm sorry that those type of dynamics, are happening. And yeah, this is going to be somewhat connected to what I brought up. And this is an interesting thing is because the planet Saturn entered the sign of Pisces here, thought it was a month ago or whatever, a little bit more. And it's really it's right on your moon right now. Yeah. Yep. That's been interesting.
Yeah. So yeah. And it's interesting because you said to me about never feeling caught up or, and then I brought up the thing about like spaces, emotional containers and spaces and you being, top of your chart being heavily Cancer, right? With your planets there. But I'm looking at your moon. I'm looking at this dreamy moon of yours. And I'm wondering about, that's why I brought up the emotional content thing. So if I were to say something after what you've told me so far, I'm wondering like what your space is. Do you have any space for yourself these days or time
Well, that's the thing. I feel like it's always all about me, but I'm never actually with me. You know, it's like nobody gets to spend any time with me because I'm always off doing the things I need to do. But there's no like I'm just like constantly moving around, and just because I'm full of responsibilities, you know. It's like, but it's
Yeah.
all for me, you know. I'm the one in school. I'm the one trying to achieve all these things, you know. So it's like it's all for me, but like, you know, it's still work, you know.
What would you, if we were to speak in an imaginative palette way, like if we could have what we wanted or what you wanted, what would you like in your world these days? If you had it and you could snap your fingers, how would you want it to be?
um, Well, I mean, the thing that like I crave the most is just being independent. Like I just want to be financially independent. Like I've not been like really ever. I mean, like I've been independent for sure, but like not. I haven't earned. I've never been a high earner. You know, I've always had exactly what I've needed and like no nothing else. You
Hmm.
know, and like I'd really like to get past that kind of point in my life and be financially, you know, stable on my like my own. I want my own personal independence. You know.
Got you. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, the way I have your chart up here on screen and stuff is your money house is Scorpionic house. You know, I mentioned the eclipse next week, and then there's a big eclipse that kind of sums up the Taurus Scorpio eclipse story here. It's October 28th of 2023. It's at 5 degrees Taurus. And I just want to let you know that the money resources or how you acquire resources story is going to kind of sum up its thing here later this year. And I also think that whatever you are do or whatever you do or how you show yourself in a sense of like what you're the authority on and how you publicly elevate yourself, this is the top of your chart, the Cancer part of your chart, is
Yeah.
kind of the driving force and will be. In the end, if we go look at your money house and it's ruled by Scorpio, we're going to go look to where Mars is in the chart. And,
Hmm.
you know, you're having your Mars return right now and this Mercury up there. It's like, you know, here's the thing of like, it's part of the reason why I brought up holding, you know, containers of emotion and space. And there's something there of a talent and gift of doing that. And it's just like, can that be transformed into making some cash? You know,
Right. Yeah.
right? So it's like, if that's the route you're going, if that's what you're doing school wise or any of the other gifts and talents and modalities you've acquired over the years are coming to a place where I feel is connected to your knowledge when it comes to emotional processes, not just for you, for other people. And they see that, and it has to do with the container you're holding for them. And, you know, a lot of times people in the healing arts, they have stuff like this, you know.
That's funny because I'm looking at music therapy actually.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I study music, but I'm transferring possibly for music therapy. It's just a crazy. There's only one place in the state that I live in that offers it, and at the university to be able to get licensed when you graduate. And it's crazy expensive school, but they're giving me a ton of money to go, but I'd still have to take out, you know, loans, and I'm just afraid I'm going to graduate and not be able to make any money to pay any of them back. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
understand. I think it's fascinating that we're talking Scorpio second house, eighth house Taurus, and you got money coming in that's offered to you, but then you got money going out possibly.
I know, right?
It's like all at the
Yeah,
same time. This is how it works. You got Uranus,
right.
Uranus and Taurus in your eighth. It's like one of those things. Money's gonna come out of the blue, and then it could just be gone out of the blue.
And just pours right out.
Pours
Exactly.
right
That's
out.
kind of just it's been my theme of life. And I'm like, is this just what it is? Do I need to just like own this? Like and somehow make you like well, what do you like what is the creative way of doing that, you know? Like I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. I mean, I think it comes back to like it's hard to do stuff when you're under the gun and you're dealing with time and you have to go to school and you have to do all these stuffs and juggling. And people set up goals and deadlines. When I'm done with school and I'm done with this, everything's going to open up or change. And one could put their vision into something like that, right? And because it's part of the goal. But
Yeah.
I think inherently it comes down to what you intuitively feel that is right. That moon of yours has that thing. The Cancer Mars and the Mercury Mars has that. You know, the aesthetics and the style and grace and balancing of your Libra rising is going to incorporate that. There's a lot of harmonistic types of things in your chart. So you have to sometimes have to place faith in that. And it doesn't feel like straightforward and grounded in the mundane world. You know, the real world. It's pressure.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've never had much of a grounded situation in the first place, so it kind of fits, I guess.
yeah, but from what I'm getting from you here as we wrap up, but you're doing some of these things to create the pillars and the foundations, the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, again, I don't know if anything I said or discussion it's brought something to you.
No, you're right on it.
But
you're right on
yeah,
it.
but I think it's most important if you're prioritizing, you got to think long term, and that's what it sounds like. That's what you're doing. So. All
right. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Your Venus ruled in the end. So I always support my Venus ruled people because this world can be so caustic. So stay you, Gemini. Okay.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah. Right on, Dreamer. I'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah. Give me a second here, people. I need to open up another window because I'm like boiling up in this mofo. Hold on. All right. Thanks for being patient with me. I'm kind of a little hot, but I think that was a good call. And thank you, Dreamer, for calling in. And I think you can all hear me. And it's hard for me to look at the chat what's going on here, so I need to see what's happening. Someone's listening from the car. It's good. I like that. Hey, Zenwell in the space. I see you. What's up? Gemini Rising. I see some of my homies in here. Andrea, can you talk about favorable aspects in astrology? I actually, on paper, you can hear trine and sextile, all that are favorable conjunction, but they all are in the end. And keep learning. Energies can heat the room. Yeah, I'm heated. You could kind of see my face here. I'm a little, all right, I have a phone call coming. I'm going to take it. Then I'm going to take a break afterwards because there's a couple things I need to talk about. So I'll do this one. I'll do this other call here. Hello, this is Sparkles of Gold. How are you?
Hi, this is Amy.
Hi, Amy. How's it going?
Not too bad. How about you?
I'm okay. I'm a little thirsty right now, and and I'm gonna say something to the rest of the live stream. I see a phone number coming at me with a 360 area code, and you've been calling, and we'll get to you. Okay. Amy.
Yep.
All right. I'm assuming everything's working correctly out there, so I'm just going to keep going. Nope. Let's see. New. Amy, when's your birthday?
March 11, 1970.
1970.
Mm-hmm.
When? What time?
10:25 a.m. Birth certificate.
Where?
Duluth, Minnesota.
Can you spell that for me?
Duluth.
How's Minnesota up there? What's the weather like today?
Don't ask. It's like the winter that never ends. I think we're in our fourth false spring right now.
Oh, wow. Wow. Here I was complaining about my world here in Pacific Northwest. Why am I getting Duluth wrong? I think I'm spelling it wrong. What's the deal? D-E-L, you said?
D-U-L-U-T-H.
D-U-L. D-U-L-E-T-H?
U-T-H.
D-U-L-U-T-H. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Why am I not seeing this? Hold on a second. D-U-L.
Mm-hmm. U-T-H.
Yeah, I thought I got this spelled right. U-T-H. There we go. March 11th, 1970, 10:25 a.m., Duluth, Minnesota. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
What's up, mermaid? How's it going?
Swimming in my emotions every day.
Yeah, I'm sure, because I'm looking at your Pisces stuff. This is the first stuff that popped up to me. Is there one specific thing you would like to talk about or insight on today?
No, I'm interested in what is standing out for you. I want to go off of your intuition.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to sound really weird and for people watching. And I got my reasons. The reason is within days here, Venus in Gemini is going to be right on your rising sign and beautifying you, shining her beautiful light on you, the Gemini rising that you are. And I like to make note of things like this because, you know, we got other stuff. You got Pisces sun and your Venus is in Aries. We'll get to that in a second. You know, Taurus moon. I see what you got going on here. Actually, you have a lot of stuff ruled by Venus in your chart. But I like to do things like this that are just not one's birthday, like March 11th, right? I also like to find other birthday times, celebratory times in people's chart. And it's when a planet like Venus will go over someone's rising sign and hit their rising. So this is happening within days here. As a matter of fact, I will give you the specific somethings. It will happen this Friday.
Okay.
I want you to celebrate yourself. Celebrate the beautiful person that you are, what you offer to this world, and anything else you want to throw into those words. Because Venus, that's what she does in the end. That's what she wants. She wants to harmonize. And
I love that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's coming over to hit your rising sign. It's happening as we speak. Let's see what else off the bat here. Okay, I'm going to say a couple words to you, and I want you to tell me what you think about them. Okay?
Yeah, don't hold back.
Burn hot or slow burn?
I'd say slow burn resonates with me. There's not a lot of fire in my chart, I think.
You have Chiron in Aries and Venus in Aries at the 1 degree. Neptune's in fire sign, but I'm just looking. That's why I was asking about, and you said slow burn?
Yeah, I mean, I used to be hot-headed, but I've been doing a lot of healing since 2020, so a lot of internal reflection. So I kind of, I mean, if things fester with me, it's a slow burn fester. Is that what you're kind of looking for?
A little bit. We're getting now. It's just curious.
Okay.
I see. Do you know your chart, Amy?
Yeah, I like to say, well, I pretend I do. I think I do. I mean, I have taken some astrology courses, so I do. Yeah, I'm familiar with. I mean, I follow astrology every day, so we'll just.
Yeah, you know. So you know your Mars and Saturn's in Taurus, and your Moon's in Taurus. Yeah, you know, right here. I don't know if you saw the beginning of my stream, but I was talking about the eclipse that's going to happen next week on May 5th, and it happens at 14 degrees Scorpio, which affects your Moon. Affects your Moon here in Taurus. It also, I mentioned in the last caller that there's an eclipse this fall, the last one in the Scorpio Taurus story that happens at 5 degrees. It's going to affect your Jupiter and Scorpio and your Saturn. You have a very tight opposition of Saturn Jupiter in your chart. So for me, your 12th house is kind of a funny place in the astrology world, depending on who you talk to, but things get lost up in there. Or they have the appearance of that. Like it kind of doesn't get seen sometimes by the world or by oneself even. And for me, I'm looking at, since we talked about Venus coming over to your rising sign Gemini, and that your Venus ruled, and your Venus is in Aries, and which means your Venus in Aries kind of rules all these other planets you have in Taurus. And you have a Saturn Mars conjunction in Taurus, and sometimes with the moon being there, it's like someone's not seen in a way of like what is like of worth to someone, what is worth of you, like the worth of you, and it can get muted. And for me, then I'm seeing that you're Pisces, and I'm looking at like a lot of tranquility that wants to be found in this chart in you, and I'm wondering if you're seen, like, and that's a pretty broad question I'm asking you, but I'm wondering as of late, and I say as of late, the last year and a half, is if you are being seen and honored.
Yes. I'm working on showing my authenticity. I had to do a lot of healing, rip away all of the layers, the judgments, let go of the negative relationships. And so that all is left is just me now, and who am I, and waiting to be seen. And so I'm kind of restructuring my life now, where there's a lot of relationships that fell off, and not being afraid to show my inner weird, my inner, all my authenticity, so it can be seen. And in fact, I'm working on a website right now so that I can pull all of the layers of who I am, so I can kind of show the world and step out into the light a little bit more.
Good work, Amy. I'm glad that you have made the steps for yourself recently, last year and a half, to walk in your world, and by your rules, using your will.
Yeah, it's hard work.
It's hard work.
Really hard work when you have to turn those mirrors back on yourself, and stop blaming other people and start looking at your own self as far as what's going on, right?
Yeah. I think it's half the battle as human beings when we can kind of get past like certain things, like when we start to look at ourselves and we just start unpacking stuff, and you're like, oh, this is hardcore. But I think that's 50% of the battle is the recognition. And then you walk through the door, and then you can never go back. And that,
right.
That's a good thing. So like the way you described your recent changes and what you're doing, the way you did it, I heard and felt, I actually felt empathy for yourself. And I also saw direction. And this is huge, because I think for a chart like yours, and some of the things I've quickly looked at, I think you have the gift of harmonization there. And and we can then harmonize our world. Some of us start up in the opposite. We'll like constantly try to harmonize everything around us, and we're not harmonized inside, right? It happens that way sometimes. And then, tables get turned, like, oh, it all starts with me, and then everything's outside of me, right? And it's not said in a selfish way, but it just kind of rolls that way sometimes. So, I'm looking at the Neptune Venus trine that you have in your chart. Neptune and Sag, you have just an incredible conduit of creativity and vision there that can bring harmony and aesthetically, like through the senses, just like a beautiful healing tonic. And I see that in your chart, and it's connected to Chiron, the wounded healer, in your chart too. And so
that resonates.
Yeah. And, I think the more, Amy, the more you walk in this direction that you're doing right now, and I feel really good about what you said, because I feel it in you. I think knowledge comes your way, and it gets to come your way through beautiful, creative, dreamy vessels. So, I think it's good. And in the end, in the future, when you're relating to other people in whatever form or fashion, I think, that Venus and Aries in yours does want to state what their needs are, and what first, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is important to me, and the rest of your chart supports, of types of other situations with people and relationships where you can have harmony and beauty there, but in the end, it always goes back to your Venus rule chart and that Venus and Aries that you have. And so just keep doing you, you know,
Awesome.
yeah, keep focusing on you. This Chiron story going on, even by degree, if it's away from your stuff, it's there. So, you know, there's more to come your way with like piecing things out and putting them back together. But yeah, just next week, the eclipse is big for you. And then the eclipse that happens this fall. And then you'll kind of be done a little bit with the Scorpio Taurus part of your chart, thankfully.
Scorpio is rough. Anytime I go through Scorpio, man, it's always rough, especially in October. There's just so much heaviness with that sign when it hits.
Yeah. And I get it because, you know, you have Mars and Saturn and Taurus, and that means everything Scorpio is always going to be opposite, you know, always going to be opposite to stuff. But remember, and I'll get off the phone this way, remember, with oppositions in astrology, when things are 180 degrees away from each other, something's exposed. It's kind of like a full moon vibe. Something's exposed. The shadows are exposed. And what one wants to do eventually in their life and work on is sometimes one person is on one side of the opposition, then they live a life a little bit on the other side, but eventually it's bringing the two together. So that's the longer term story. But Amy, blessings to you. I feel good about what you said to me, though. I really like how you said things to me today. So
thanks for pointing out what I've been feeling and going through. I really appreciate your insight and all of the light that you bring to the community. I'll continue uplifting you when I see you on social media, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Amy, thank you. Thanks for calling. I'll see you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Give me a second, y'all.
Hello.
Hello.
Please state your name after the tone, and Google Voice will try to connect you.
360, you're just calling me, and I just tried to answer that. So I'm going to try to call you again because I know you've been calling. I know some of you people are taking care of things in the chat right now for me because I have a hard time, and I usually take breaks in between charts, but I've been going here, and I'm going to take a break after this one. I have to. Hey, it's Sparkles of Gold. You're live on air.
I got through. That's
see
awesome.
I see you've been calling. What's the first name you want to use? It doesn't have to be real. It could be whatever you want.
Well, I actually gave you a super chat. It was my information in your chat.
Okay, but still. Oh, Melissa. Hi.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hi.
That's two beautiful kids in your profile picture there. I see it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I mean, it's really small, but I can do it with these reading glasses. I can pick it out. I see it. Yeah, right on. Glad I got to connect with you here. For everybody watching, I definitely have to take a break after this one. So Melissa and I are gonna talk here for a little, just quick, and then I'm gonna take a break, and I have to drink some water, and I want to bring up a couple things to y'all too. So all right, Melissa, hold on a second, okay?
Okay, no problem. I bribed my kids with candy, so it should be quiet in the background.
You know, like moms, what they have to do, I get it, man. Whatever it takes. Sometimes it's like, you know, you have visions of like, I'm going to do this, and things are like, be like this for my kids. And then there's sometimes it's like, just this works, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Okay.
It is hot in this room that I'm in right now, and it's just giving me a glimpse of summertime that's going to happen. I had to bust out a jug of water here. I'm getting there here. I'm getting to Jamestown. Where is Jamestown? What is that? Upstate New York? What is that? Where is that?
Yeah, it's a tiny little town next to Buffalo.
Oh man. So you grew up with snow.
Oh yeah.
September 30th, 1981, 9:43 a.m., Jamestown, New York.
PM, 9:43 p.m.
Ah, see? Yeah, that's why I repeat. That's why I do it. This is huge. I do this with my clients, too. I always repeat when we start. Okay. Melissa, do you know your chart by chance? I'm just curious.
Yes.
You do? Are you there? I can barely hear you.
Area. Yes.
There you are.
I do. Yeah, I know my chart.
Okay. So we got another Gemini rising. Melissa, is there one thing in specific you would like to me to talk about, or you want to know about?
Yes, I'd really like to know what you see for career, because I've got that Saturn in my 10th, and I got...
All right.
Oh, gosh.
Hold on, Melissa, because right now I don't see that. Oh, you're talking about current transiting Saturn in the sky is in your 10th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. People are watching the stream right now. They're seeing something. They're like, what's he doing? So I'm doing something quick. First of all, I saw something Saturn with your relationships in December. Okay, we won't get into that because Saturn wasn't in Pisces then.
Okay.
Hold on. I need to reference something.
I got eviscerated in October. I got demolished emotionally with work. Yeah, I ended up quitting that job.
Oh, wow. Okay, what I could tell you is, because right now, I don't see anything heavy. I just see Saturn that's heavy enough, but it doesn't have to be. This is going to go in, Melissa, by the way, what I'm going to talk to you about here is something very simple. And it's something I'm going to bring up after I'm done with your chart with a specific book that I'm going to showcase, okay, that kind of has to do with this. And if you're hearing noise in the background, people, it's because I have the window open and I had to do that. So, all right, Saturn's coming through. It's, why do I have, sorry, I'm talking to myself right now. Let me see something here. Okay. Are you currently in a job right now?
Yes, I am.
Do you get paid what you're worth?
I got paid more than the job I quit. It's kind of like a temporary thing, so I'm content. It's a good work environment.
Are you working from home or are you in an office?
I'm in an office right now, but I just launched a travel business, so I just started an online business, I guess you could say.
Okay. I'm wondering about the regimen that you have in your life. I'm wondering about the time you get up to the time you go to sleep at night, and are you happy with it?
Well, I think my mental health could be a lot better. I got so much stuff going on right now, like lots of stress. So I think that kind of like monopolizes my life. I mean, if I could just like get rid of all of that heaviness, I think I could manage things.
Okay, I heard the last part, manage, because you cut out on me.
Oh, great.
It's okay.
I live in the forest.
Oh, okay. No, it's okay. We work this. We'll do it. So the reason why I'm asking you about your regimen and stuff is because the way I do charts as a whole sign, you got all your Scorpio planets are in the 6th house. I'm thinking about the way you serve and do things every day, day by day, and the little things. And this actually can affect your career house. And you mentioned the other job you're doing for yourself. Now, Saturn going in through your 10th house, people looking on the screen are like, okay, there's nothing going on there, but there is, because Saturn actually is going to be harmonizing off the bat right now with the way you communicate, eventually with your Scorpio moon and your Venus and Scorpio and Uranus through its 3-year transit. Saturn is actually going to throw some good vibes onto your Scorpio planets. And a lot of times with trines, things can come very easily. But because Saturn is involved here and trines have a tendency, the aspect has a tendency to get lazy, we want to fully utilize the Saturn going through your 10th house because of the connection to all the Scorpio planets in your chart. This is really good, but you have to be on it. And so Saturn rituals are in play. And the reason is because Saturn requires hard work and a day-by-day, step-by-step process. And, you know, those types of things only work with a plan, I think. So that's why I'm bringing up regimen in your day-to-day activities and how you would structure them. How does that sound like when I say that to you?
That resonates because I'm kind of all over the place right now because I quit one job and then I'm like, I started a business and then I panicked and then I had to go find another job. So right now everything's kind of chaotic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the eclipses that I mentioned earlier to the callers, they really affect you. The one next week and the one later this year, you know, with your 6th house. This is, again, a simple way to put this is just to look at the system of your life. And that's why I brought up, like, what happens when you get up until you go to sleep. And a lot of times I think with the scorpionic energy that you have there, you can get really rooted in certain systems that used to work before that actually gave you a sense of like power and felt good. But my suggestion is to take a look at those day-to-day things, those little things in your life, and use Saturn going through your career house to help you construct a new type of to-do list is one way to put it, or a regimen. And I think inherently in the end, this could pay off in the career part of your chart, right? The travel thing that you've come up with could show some advancement. So that's to try to answer briefly here with not a lot of time about Saturn going through your 10th. I want to know if I'm coming in clear with you.
Yes. No, I like the recommendation. Thank you. Sometimes you just need to hear those things.
Yeah, most of the time when people see me, Melissa, it's all about confirmation, to be honest. They already know. They already know what they got to do. And then that's like the astrologer said something, confirms it. You get tarot cards. They talk to somebody. They get a sign from the universe walking down the street or something. You know, it's just kind of, that's how it rolls, you know, and it's most of the time confirmation, you know. There's a couple other big things I see in your chart that are on a bigger thing that are for a long conversation, but I'm just trying to, since we're only brief here, you know, just something that you can tangibly work with. And that's what my message is to you today, that those little systems and day-by-day things, you can completely rework them here in your life within 3 years. I think they're really in the play now, especially with your mind, because your Mercury being in Scorpio and Saturn, it wants to construct something new, a new vision, and it's using your probing, direct seeker of truth to its core, Mercury in Scorpio. So that's the first step I would take or look at is like what to do with your mind to keep it clear and concise.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate your time.
Melissa, thank you. Thank you for being patient. I noticed in the chat. Thank you for the super chat. And thank you for calling me deep in the forest.
Thank you. You have a good one.
I'll see you.
All right. Bye.
All right. I can't take a phone call right now. I need a break. And because I just did 3 and wow, I'm almost an hour and a half into this. I had to put something on timeout in the chat, some bot. I forgot my first bot. Thanks y'all for talking in here. I'll look back, here. All right. Let me show you a book. And you know, this book sort of touched upon what I was talking about with Melissa on the last call, and I'm going to see if what I've constructed here is going to work. So this book right here is from an astrologer and a witch. This is Lon Llewellyn. There's several books like this in the astrology world. This one came out last year, if I'm correct. And I'm going to put some links here in the chat that you can help me with. I'm going to put 2 of my referral links here. Damn, I'm a little lost here in what I'm doing. I need to pull something else here in the chart on my screen. But this book, A Lantern in the Dark, is a book that deals with certain spaces and time, especially with Saturn and especially with transits that are happening from the Saturn return afterwards. especially what to do during second Saturn returns and second Saturn squares and all this type of stuff. And it's ritual and ways to deal with certain age parts of one's life. So pretty much between 27 and 30 years old, someone deals with their first Saturn return. 7 years later is the first Saturn square. 7 years later, and let me get rid of this, boom, this person in chat. So this book right here deals with that, and I will show you, and let me get these, let me get some of these links in the deal. Between 27 and 30 years old. All right, so here, oh, that's not good what I just did. Well, there's, here, let me do this over. You guys are being really patient on the stream. I just did a bunch of charts in a row. So I got to clear my brain. So there you go there. Okay, so now I'm going to show you. Let's see if this works, because I was working on this all night. I want to show you the table of contents here so you get an idea. So here, you can sort of see. I'm not doing the best here with this, aren't I? I'm going to work on this. So basically, you could see here, we're talking about the Saturn return and some history, by the way. But you could see here, she's talking about Pluto squares, Neptune squares in your world, and different ways of doing this. So these have to do with certain periods of one's life. Like basically, a big period happens between 41 and 44 years old. And it has to do with the Saturn opposition that happens and the Uranus opposition. And a lot of times we call this a midlife crisis in astrology this time, even though it doesn't have to be your midlife, but the Saturn opposition, Uranus opposition will overlap between 41 and 44. She does a really good job of talking about this in the book. There's a couple other books out there called Cycles of Becoming that talks about this, but I like the way what she did here. She's got a little bit more of other modalities that she brings involved into her work. Her name is Danielle Blackwood. Follow her on Instagram. She's super cool. But you could see magical toolkit. So, you know, she's bringing in, I think, a more pagan vibe to things as solutions with something like this. And I'll also show you here, like, ways of dealing with stuff. So opposition, so on and so forth. Second Saturn return to happen. So, you know, in one way, the book is kind of geared for a little bit older, but I'm going to say, as anybody watching this, doesn't matter what age you're at, you're going to get a lot of knowledge from this book. If you're practicing astrology and you're younger and you're going to have a client that is older than you, you got to have a way to have it together, because you didn't live those years yet in your life. So you better do the research if you're going to do readings and someone's older than you, so you can understand the zone in their life, regardless of the distinct transits they're having in their chart. The generational type of transit that happens to everybody at certain points and places in the world. And I'm like not in the camera here, sorry, but there is a deal, and this is one book that touches upon that. Now, I really suggest the book. Again, those links are in the chat. Danielle Blackwood. I have a bookmark to, you could see on this chapter here that she's talking about the first Saturn return. She talks about the opposition to here. So there's that. Okay, so there's that. I want to show you something else. Show you something else here. And this here, as you watch my hand do the magic, see that? We're going to get rid of that, and we're going to go here, and we're going to go to here like this. These are a set of fixed star cards by Ryhan Butler, who is a fellow colleague. I also subscribe to his Patreon. He's a really great medieval astrologer, does astrological magic. He's on YouTube. He's got his own YouTube channel where he'll put out 2 videos a month, new moon and full moon videos on good electional times. Here's a fixed star deck that he put out, and it's for sale right now, that I really love. Here's Vega, Diving Vulture. I'll show you other ones here. I'll show you here. It goes, it's basically an oracle deck for fixed stars. And you can learn a lot here about fixed stars within this little book here that he wrote. And there's another artist involved that came to make these cards. And I'll show you the link. I'll put up the link on in the chat and on screen. But basically, you could do whatever. He's got his way, and you could pull a card. So this one's on Vega right here. I'll just do this. I'll just pick one card here and go like this. Here's a Procyon. I think that's the way it's said. And then let's take a read on what he says with it. And it's great because the first thing is he's got an index. So some people, they don't put table of contents in here, and like it drives me crazy. So now I know I can go straight to it, right? And here's 46. Let's just say we pull this for the stream today, okay? 26 degree Cancer, stone agate. So he has got some correspondences in there. Nature's Mercury, Mars, and the image is a rooster or three little girls. This is a fixed star within the constellation of Canis Minor, the little dog. Within the constellation, it serves as the alpha star, making the heart of the constellation. The star has something more of a negative reputation in natal charts, where it's said to make natives ill-tempered, careless, and weak-natured. The star can also represent danger either from water or due to animal bites. In Greek myth, Canis Minor's name was Maera and was the faithful dog of Icarus who flew too close to the sun. And so he goes on and explains things from different angles about the fixed stars. So you get a little power-packed book here explaining that. And he says, within the context of astral magic, Procyon has three main effects. The first is the general preservation of health. This offers an interesting approach to the health maintenance that is different from some of the other stars that offer more explicitly remedial magic. This implies that Procyon is best utilized in warding off illness and injury than it is at curing it, though this may be an over-literal interpretation. And then he goes on and on. This particular degree is, I made a talisman with the group here. Now I'm remembering in Ryan's group that has to do with 25 degrees Cancer. This was about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. Whatever the case is, I will show you. Damn, I didn't do this right. Let's see if it's here and there. No. There. And there's the deal there. There's me. But here is Ryan's page. You can't see me. It's medievalastrologyguide.com, star cards. I'll throw this in the chat. I'm getting a stupid bot that won't go away. And I keep trying to hide this user on the channel. And yeah, so there's the link there. There's in the chat, and here is the page. Go support Ryan. His website's amazing. He's a really good guy. He's a great astrologer. But I really like these cards. He's going to be surprised that I'm bringing this up. And his fixed stars, you can order their beautiful deck that he made and actually needed in the astrology world in a way, because there's so many books on fixed stars and so much literature. But this little book, this little something is power packed, and it's an oracle deck. So good job, Ryan. And let me be cool. Terry Johnson also did this with Ryan. I just want to be clear. This isn't just Ryan. So the art that you see. The art that you see here was made by Terry Johnson and put together with Ryan in the book. So there you go. There's I promoted a book, and you're not seeing. I'm not seeing the links on my end. Look in the chat, Zen Wellness Space. You should see the link there. You could always message me later on, and I also see a couple people in this chat that are friends or know Ryan too, and they could back up what I'm saying here. So there's that. What else? What else? I will do this. I'll show you what else. This guy. I don't know if you know who this person is. He's a member of the Tennessee House of Representatives. His name's Justin J. Pearson. A young powerhouse of a politician coming up through Memphis, who recently, with two other people in the House of Representatives was kicked out of the Tennessee House for protesting, inside protests of gun control reform and all this kind of stuff that's going on in Tennessee, so on and so forth. So why am I bringing up Justin? Beautiful Justin, who's born on January 7th, 1995. I wish I can get rid of this bot that's in my chat. I keep somehow putting this person and hiding this person, and they're just like, it's not happening. So anyway, there's Justin right there. Let's take a look at his chart. If I could do this right, Astro Gold chapter, let me do, no. Oh, maybe like this, Nicholas. Maybe that's why. So, so here we go. We're going to look to, Justin. We don't have a birth time for Justin. I want you to look up this person and what's been going on in his world as a politician, as a young politician. He was born on January 7th, 1995. And we got 12 p.m. That's not his birth time, but we look at, he's a Capricorn. We got Mercury in Aquarius. He's got an influctuation when he speaks. He's just a definite way of the way he speaks here. And it's tied in to certain transits he's had. But he's having the beginning of a Saturn return right now. And pretty much at the very beginning when Saturn entered in Pisces, he was kicked out of the House of Representatives because of his protests. And then eventually he was brought back in the first week of April here, just recently. And I just find this person fascinating. He's got, and this is what I want to show you. His Venus in Sagittarius is conjunct his Jupiter in Sag, 0 degrees Venus. And you could see his Mercury in Aquarius is at 1 degree. So Mercury and Venus are sextiling each other. This dude has visionary talk because he's a Mercury in Aquarius. His Venus in Sagittarius sees a bigger picture for the collective because Mercury in Aquarius. And here we're looking at a Placidus chart. So, you know, he's got a 10th house influence in general. His Capricorn sun, his Uranus, his Neptune in Capricorn, Uranus there. He's a public person, public figure. And he will always be, and he will, I think he will always find, well, we don't know his chart. I made a mistake here. We don't know his birth time, so we don't know he's got a 10th house sun. Okay, so whatever the case is. Now here, Saturn return is starting. He's having a nodal return here that's happening, or a flip nodal return. So the North Node right now is in Taurus. So this is the flip of it. So 9 years ago, he had his nodal return. So these eclipses that have been happening for the last year and a half, he went through an election and he won. He got kicked out of the House of Representatives, got put back in. The eclipse that happens next week directly affects his chart, his Scorpio part of his chart and his Taurus part. His Aries moon is driven by this Mars and Virgo here that's also connected with a square to his Venus. You can see how Venus plays out a major deal in his chart because it's connected to his Mercury and his Mars, and that moon in Aries is going to be relentless. So I just wanted to bring up Justin here as somebody you should follow. It's incredible, and it's incredible what the transits have been showing in this. And if I go to here, let's see if, oh, this isn't going to work this way. No. How did I do this? I'm a little lost right now. Anyway, that's the deal right there. I could do it like this. So you could see that he assumed office on April 12th. He came in on February 9th into office, was kicked out on April 6th, and then was voted back in on the 12th. Basically, when Saturn was in the last degrees of Aquarius, he got kicked out. And as soon as Saturn went into Pisces, pretty much he was right back in the deal. So that's a quick version. I want to talk about this chart more. I would love to find this person's birth time and talk about it. Now, let's just bust somebody else out here that I wasn't expecting to do. And because there's two other people involved in this, and I'll save it for next time, the other politician. But let's just do this dude just because. Now, I'm not either party. I just want to let you all know that. I'm not a Democratic Party. I'm not a Republican Party. I've been like this for a long time. Independent, open, whatever. Whatever the case is, here's Jumpin' Joe Biden. And he announced his candidacy today to run again. Pluto is exactly squaring his Taurus moon, which is huge, huge deal. Pluto is going to be hitting his Taurus moon now all the way till next year. That's one thing going on. He announced his candidacy again today during a Mercury retrograde in Taurus that's pretty much in his 5th house if we have the correct birth time. He's a Scorpio. Scorpio sun with Venus conjunct Scorpio is Kazemi almost, and Mercury in Scorpio. It's definitely a transit thing. What else am I seeing here? That's the quick version. The eclipse that happened last week affects his Jupiter and Cancer in his chart. Saturn is right on his south node. I think he's going to have a challenging rest of the year. I don't even know about the election and even getting there, but I think there's a lot of challenge in the day he decided to do this. And with Saturn being over on the south node, even though it passed there, it's going to go back towards 0 degrees. Saturn is moving forward right now. It's at 4. I mean, I could put the chart up here. If mind you, I have this chart in Placidus. I do both. I use both. But here's Saturn, at 5 degrees here. And, there it is at 5. It already hit this in the beginning. We know some of the hardships outwardly politically, but I have a feeling there's been something else going on behind the scenes in his private life. One thing I will say is recently he went to Northern Europe. It was Ireland or Scotland, and there was a story about his son who passed, and I think it was in a car wreck. I can't remember. Years ago, someone read his rights to his son, and he met the priest who did that. And you see it publicly crying. Now, I don't know if you know Biden very well, but the dude cries on a dime. He's not meaning to cry it. He's actually super sensitive 12th house Scorpio. And he's actually a deeply emotional person. You don't see it all the time, but if you go look at videos, you'll catch it. When Obama was leaving the office and he was getting honored by Obama, there's just certain things he just breaks down, and it's very interesting side of him. That occurred recently. If we talk about an old emotional story, he's had it pop up, but I think there's something else, and I think it's going to play out later this year. I'm not going to predict death. I'm not going to do anything like that, but I am going to say that it's tough. This announcement's tough. The transits, there's some good things about it, but I don't feel good about it. In the end, I'm not saying win or lose, life or death. I'm saying it's a little tough. I also will say that if I run something here and I do this, he just had Saturn square his sun, Saturn square his Venus, Saturn opposite his Chiron. He's got a Saturn sextile his moon. That's going to help his Scorpio planets. Even though it's messing with his south node, it does help his Scorpio planets 3 years from now. I will also say that Saturn, if we have the birth time correct, is squaring his ascendant and his descendant that started 2 weeks ago and is going to go all the way to September. Jupiter sort of maybe helps him. Jupiter will be on his moon on the week of May 20th. That's all I will say there. So yeah, Jupiter's going to be on his moon as soon as the ingress happens, but Pluto's also there too. Venus in Leo goes into there June 5th and is going to actually square his moon. I don't see the best of things here. Challenges. One thing's for sure about this guy, he's been through a lot in his life and he can get through things. We'll see how it goes. So that's didn't plan on doing Joe's chart, but that's the deal. And that might be my deal. I think I'm done. I know other people tried to call maybe. Sorry. I I know there's a California number that was there. And RC, with a super chat. RC, thank you so much. And look at these super chat graphics on the screen. If you're in a chat looking at this, it's got these hippos. Thank you, RC. You rock. Thanks for the hippo tip. But yeah, Rebecca, us fixies have had it tough. Yeah, it's been tough, and it will continue to be. But at the same time, a lot's been learned in fixed signs, fixed angles, and all that for the last year and a half. This is where you want to apply things. So there's that. I think I'm done with my thing. Yeah, Stephanie G says his baby daughter and his wife died in a car accident. Yeah, one of these days I'll do a deeper dive. This Google AI is like doing stuff, and I don't know. Anyway, his chart and his life events are really dialed in. So maybe I'll make a deeper video here with some time, not a live stream, but about the events in his life. Trump's one of these people too. We have his chart. It's pretty dialed in with his Trump. I'm not going to get into like agree or not. Honestly, I'm not a Democratic supporter or Republican supporter, but as an astrologer, we like to look at these things. But I definitely would like to do a Biden chart because it's very, very interesting. It goes back to 2020. I was in a workshop with Demetra George, and she broke down his charts so well, man. She's so good. Demetra, shout out to you. Sam, thank you. Thank you, Sam. A super chat. This is what I wanted. It makes sense. I'm gonna eat a good meal today because of your super chat, and also there's certain subscription services that I'm paying for that are actually going to be helping me with my live streams here in the future. So this test feature of this Google AI, I don't know who you are, if you're actual Google or not, but it's kind of driving me crazy. I'm gonna figure it out. Yeah, that's why I'm laughing about you right now, my friend, in chat here, but there is boom. So yeah, Sam, thank you, and thank you for everyone. I want to make sure I got everybody Sam and RC. I know Melissa earlier, Kiara, thank you. People who donated in super chat, this really helps me, and it helps me be able to do this at least once a month so I can do some free readings for people. I also have a special going on right now. I got special rates for sessions that deal with Saturn and Pisces in your chart, or Pluto and Aquarius. I'll even do a Chiron thing or an eclipse thing for that price. Maybe I'll add that today. Check out that book that I mentioned. I created an AI image with this theme last night. Oh, wow. You follow that, my water bear. Follow that. Yes, you're welcome. Good to see you, by the way. Ness, thank you. Christina, thank you. Hey, Deb. Oh, you want a reading too? Deb, whenever you're ready, whenever it's right for you, you book a reading or message me, okay? And thank you for your comments on my videos lately, because I know you just discovered me, and I see you've been checking out my past stuff, which is a lot of time, and I appreciate you. You could see my world and what's up. Startlingly true. Steph G's evolution. I can't do supers for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how these. I have it turned on, but it's okay. Your intention, and your energy, and your comment is sweet too. Startlingly true. Thank you for the donation and the super chat. Thanks for the 36 or plus people who are watching me the whole time. Casey, thank you. Casey with super chat. Thank you. Bravo, Nick. You're awesome. You're awesome, my friend. Pablo. Casey, startlingly true. Thank you so much for the support. I'm going to decide here soon whether I'm going to actually open up this channel for memberships. If I leave Patreon, which I got to figure all that stuff out. I'm not going to make those decisions during Mercury retrograde. I was a guest. It's okay. It's okay, Deb. It's okay if you can't figure it out. Don't, you're not doing anything wrong. We're all trying to figure this out. It's all good. It's all good. I have on Patreon, sometimes my Patreon members, they get some more glimpses of some of the stuff I put out before I publish it, like some 3 questions interviews. I have more I'm going to publish this week. I will say, I'm not going to announce it yet, but I just did a podcast in video with a very well-known, established, fun astrologer on YouTube. I did that recently, and I'm waiting for this person to announce it, and I will let all of you know. It'll be posted on my community tab, and it was a really interesting conversation about a transit that's going to start to happen here this summer, and I can't wait to let you know all about that. Besides that, I appreciate all of you. I think it went well today, considering. And let me just check one more thing. Yeah, I'll go get a good meal. Deb Palm, it's all good. Don't sweat it. I want to thank everybody else. Zen Wellness, you show up. All of you who are in the chat. The chat doesn't pop up until YouTube finishes the process of all this, which usually takes 24 hours or less for people watching later. Then I'm going to add timestamps. And I see some of you looking at and making comments about the charts I've had on screen. That's great. It's great because you all are learning and you know your own. You got your own powers, don't you? Rebecca, so amazing to witness you read, Nicholas. Thank you for the new book recommendation. You're welcome, Rebecca. You're welcome. I have so many. I could go to town on this kind of stuff. So, yeah. All right. I did it. I pulled it off. Oh, let me see. Generic Human Peter, thank you. I randomly recommend your channel to someone else. Right on, dude. Anthony Crawford, you're welcome. You're welcome. Sam, will you be doing another show with Mel? Nothing planned, but we're friends, and I love Mel. She's such a great astrologer, and her insights. Definitely go support her YouTube channel. She's trying to get to a certain goal here, so go follow Energetic Principles on her thing. You can also, for those of you who don't know, I did a podcast with her and another astrologer, Elodie. We did a Pluto in Aquarius, what do you call it? Podcast and video. I'm going to throw that up in the chat, actually. Let's see if this works. I will, I'll put it right here. On her thing, you can go, will you please, there's the link to Mel's, or it's a video I did with Mel, but you can go subscribe to there. Go subscribe. I want her to get 1,000 followers because she's really trying to push it, and she's a badass, and she has great guests on her show. Yes, Stephanie G. I was on the astrology podcast with Chris last June. I was on one in 2020 about conferences, and then I was on another one, a secret one for his patrons a while back. Kiara, yeah, thanks for co-creating with me too, Kiara. I wasn't on Astrology Hub. I was with Chris. Golden Heart already bought the fixed star cards. Yeah, right on. Yeah. Will you have a link to your special price readings? Okay, yeah, actually, thanks for looking out for me. Let's see if I could do this right. Is that it? No. That's the window capture. Here is my link to my readings page. You will see here, you'll see my basic stuff, but I have a Saturn and Pisces consultation, and I have a Pluto and Aquarius one. This special is going on until May 1st next week. If you're down to do it, that's when it is. Maybe I'll push up the special a little bit. Maybe after the eclipse or on May 5th, I'll change the date. I'm also doing eclipse readings too, and I'll throw that in here, but that's my page. There's Generic Human, one more for I see. So there you go. There's the link there. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for the support. Follow me on Instagram. Go to my website for the prices, but follow me on Instagram and subscribe if you haven't. And it's time for me to go. My brain's gone. Until next time, let me get my face here. Let's finish what I started. I'll see you next time. Thanks, y'all.